Hello and welcome to Henry Wheeler's Movie Reviews, where I take a look at films I haven't seen before that others likely will have done. And today we're going to have a look at the 1997 seminal Gary Oldman directorial debut, to date the only film he's directed, Nil By Mouth. Obviously this was a huge critical darling at the time, what with it winning 2 BAFTA awards for Best British Film and Best Screenplay, I believe, which Gary Oldman also wrote. And Kathy Burke also got the Best Actress award at Cannes. So I'm very excited to watch this because I really like social realist kitchen sink drama type stuff with grim storylines. So yeah, let's check it out. Ooh. So the film follows a working class family in South London, focusing particularly on Ray, his wife Val, along with her brother Bill and their mother Janet. Val is pregnant with her second child, and Ray is often going out with friends and getting rather aggressive by the time he comes home. Bill is, a heroin user. The film doesn't really have much of a story beyond that particularly. It's very much a character piece, following each of them going about their lives. What I didn't expect though was just how much of Bill's story is covered, given I assumed the film would be largely centered on the relationship between Ray and Val, but we spend a good 45 minutes with Bill, and I quite like that, since it offers some variety in the story. As Bill's a heroin addict, we really get a fabulous insight into what his life entails. He funds his habit largely from money he receives from his mum, Janet, played by EastEnders' own Big Mo.
Oh, it was an accident! How can you have an accident frying a dog? It was an accident!
Or Layla Morse, who incidentally is Gary Oldman's older sister. That's news to me. I really enjoyed her character. She clearly loves him and wants him to get clean, but she still gives him money regardless. There's a moment where Bill is desperate for cash to get some smack, and Janet says that she won't let him go on his own but will drive him there, telling Bill to, please make this be the last time. Just over and over, and it really hurt my heart. But as Trainspotting showed, they're always wanting that last hit, but it never comes. It's just this endless cycle of self-destruction.
I just need one more score lately. Just bring me one more hit, please. I need one more fucking hit!
They just keep wanting more and more and more. I really felt for Bill and was willing for him to get help, but when your life is that miserable, it's difficult. It not only harms you, but those around you, your loved ones, and it's desperately sad. And the amount of money that Janet is giving him, it could provide her with more financial security, potentially from her job, instead of just having it by default going towards feeding his habit. Another part of the film which I really admired was how it really lulls you into a false sense of security. To a certain extent, even though that there is something going on, but you're not sure what exactly. Since, Ray's portrayed as, a good laugh, a bit of a geezer, who's fun to be around, and you see him hanging out with his friends, viewing as like a bystander rather than someone that's in this kind of domestic setting. You're not really aware of what's going on behind closed doors. And many abusers are like this and portray this kind of lovable version of themselves in public, it being polar opposite at home. And I've been in a similar situation to Val. I know what it's like seeing those two sides to them, which no one else sees. It's really terrifying, and you see glimpses of it when he's in public, but it's very sparingly.
Don't worry about it, Ray. I won't be long.
I won't tell you again. Put the fucking cue down, drink your fucking drink, and get in that cunting car now. Do as you're fucking told.
It's interesting because it also portrays just how locked in an abusive relationship can be, that you feel kind of trapped and there isn't really anything you can do about it. And there's a conversation Janet is saying to someone, I don't understand why she's with them. And then they're like, well, you know, she wanted a baby, so, you know, she's just with him, and like that's kind of how it happens. And it's really sad that there are people who are in relationships like this, where there's like one defining element of it which is keeping them together, and they're just like, well, you know, I kind of need to stay because of this. And I feel that. Only in my case, it was because I was told by my partner at the time that I'd never amount to anything, that no one would ever love me except for them. And that really made me feel like, oh, well, you know, I probably shouldn't leave them then, because I'll be completely alone, and, you know, maybe having to put up with this abuse is better than not having anyone at all. I mean, abusers do that to you. They make you feel like you're nothing. The scene which is really the catalyst for everything which follows is when Ray beats Val till she's a pulp, and subsequently has a miscarriage, and it's a really horrifying scene, but it's really indicative of just how horrible it is that when Janet comes over and sees the state that Val is in.
Oh my God! What you fucking done? Fucking hell!
Val has this prepared story already that she got hit by a car, and, you know, she's making excuses for Ray's aggressive behaviour, and I just wanted to hug her. I also really like that the violence isn't shown. There's only really 3 scenes of violence in the whole film, and only one of which is with Val, one of which is with a guy who gets beaten up, and the other is where Ray believes that Bill's stolen from him and then attacks him by biting his nose.
No, don't do that! No!
Yeah. I was coming into this expecting this to be a frequent occurrence, and it would be deeply depressing and really disturb me, but it really wasn't that at all. There was a lot of nuance there. When it really does kick off, and Val is not letting Ray in, where he's kind of outside screaming at her to, you know, let him see his kids. Well, no, his fucking kids, and calling her a cunt.
My kids! You cunt! You fucking
She's lost the fucking baby because of you, because you can't get your...
Listen your fucking noise, mate.
You can threaten me all you...
Look at this cunt.
Like, Ray Winstone really lets rip in that scene, and he's just magnificent in this film, and really shows a lot of versatility in this manic, thuggish performance, but he also displays elements of vulnerability in parts as well, and, you know, obviously the loving, charming kind of guy sort of thing. Also, this is probably a good time to mention this film has the record for the most uses of the word cunt, and it's not even remotely close. It's a lot. The script is just really wonderful, and, you know, obviously the way the story unfolds is really great, but the dialogue in particular is very true to life. The way it's shot has a very documentary feel to it at points, which is a huge compliment. Because regarding the dialogue, at no point did it feel like they were just reciting lines. It really felt incredibly authentic. Like, you could just be like sat in a pub and overhear someone speaking like this. Obviously, sometimes the way they're speaking is obviously like on PC, but there are people who do talk like that even in this day and age. Though with this in mind, there's an excellent scene later on where Ray has a heart-to-heart with his friend Mark, and also the title is explained.
She said, means, you know, when they...
Well, it's nothing to eat, then.
Yeah, nothing down. Yeah.
And he's talking about how his dad wasn't like other kids' dads.
It was my fucking dad, but he wasn't like other kids' dads, you know. It was as if the word itself was enough. And it ain't.
He thought that he just had to be present, even sparingly, in order to be a dad. A bit like it was a chore for him. I thought that was a really powerful moment that showcased just how often this behaviour can manifest itself as a result of being neglected in childhood. And it's really important to have positive role models, because without it, people can end up having all sorts of mental health issues and end up like Ray, expressing himself in ways which are completely inappropriate and damaging to others. Also, it's probably already a given at this stage, but since she won the Best Actress at Cannes, but Kathy Burke is excellent in this film. I know she's done dramatic work since, but not too much, and it's a real shame that she hasn't done a lot of dramatic acting. It also just goes to show that often comedians make the best actors sometimes. She conveys a real sincerity with her performance. She's not totally vulnerable, and by the end, she sticks up for herself and gives this empowered speech.
I'm 30 today, you know, and I feel so fucking old. You know, I'm so tired. I'll find somebody else. You know, someone who can love me. Someone kind.
The writing in this film is just terrific. Why have you not made more fucking films, Gary? Oh, for God's sake. Also, the music in the film is composed by Eric Clapton, which is very much of the time. You know, there's a lot of this sort of score in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s in British film and TV, but I really like it. It has this nice bouncy feeling to it, and it just has enough sleaze to really kind of add to the atmosphere of an already concerning tale.
I'm gonna get this another time.
I really thought this was great, and really not the film I expected it to be. You know, Ray Winstone was really knocking it out of the park in the late 90s, though, given The War Zone was 2 years after this. Another sole directorial effort from an actor, this time Tim Roth. You know, that film was as grim as I thought it would be, though it is an incredible piece of work, but very tough to watch. I strongly recommend giving it a go, though. So those are my thoughts on Nil By Mouth. If you've seen the film, let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. And yeah, bye.